Hi, I'm Anne from Game Like a Mother. Today I'm going to show you how to play Timeline Twist. It's ages 8 and up, 2 to 6 players, and it takes 20 minutes. Let me show you how to play. I'm going to show you the cooperative way to play this game. There is a competitive version that you can play where you just take turns trying to play out your cards in the timeline and be first to get rid of all of your cards, but that's just standard timeline. We're showing cooperative timeline for setup. You take the deck of 100 cards and deal off the top 36 cards. That's what you'll be playing with for this round. You take the other 64 cards and put them to the side. We have a 4-player game set up here. Each player is dealt 4 cards white side up. It's important that they're like this on the table and nobody holds their cards in their hand because then people can see the dates on the back. So they all stay like this, and you have your draw deck white side up. You flip out 1 card black side up into the center. That is the beginning of your timeline. And you can see the invention of the electric iron was in 1882. And then you flip over 1 card black side up to form your discard pile. The oldest player gets to go first, and we'll say it's this person here. And all you do on your turn is you either play 1 or 2 cards, or you can choose to discard a card, and you cannot choose to do both. So we'll say this person chooses to play a card, and they're going to say the invention of the locomotive. And you don't have to know where it fits on the timeline. The trick for the cooperative timeline is it always, whatever card you're played, is placed on either the far left or the far right of the timeline. So you're just trying to get something that's close to what's out there. So they play it, and it is 1804, so it goes before it in the timeline, and they could choose to place another one if they wanted. They can choose to play the first superhero appearance, and that is 1933. They're allowed to do that. You have to play them one at a time, and you don't get to draw back up in between. So that's it for their turn. They now refill their hand, and it goes clockwise to the next person, and they're doing the same thing. So they get to pick a card, and we'll have them pick. This is clearly a big gap, but I'm going to show why it matters. The founding of the Templars, they flip that over, and oh, that's 1119. That is early. There is a big gap between these two. It is not great for the game. And they can choose to just be done then. They don't have to try to place a second card. They can try, and even if it doesn't fit because they have to play it on the sides, then they could just choose to be done. So this person's going to show what happens here. We're going to just rig it a little bit. If you choose to discard, oh, geez Louise, we need the right hourglass. Where's an hourglass? Here we go. So they're going to, if you want to be able to discard a card, you can't just do it. You have to have an icon that matches the icon of the top card of the discard pile. So they can't discard any of these. They can discard this one. So they're going to go ahead and discard it. And when you flip it over, it has a different icon on the other side. So now it's a birdhouse, and that can be really advantageous to get rid of cards that are going to be tricky to place, or to make it so somebody who doesn't have a play is able to discard on their next turn. And so then they can't play a card. That's not an option for them. They refill their hand. For this person, we're going to have them play the first appearance of Sherlock Holmes. So if you play a card, this is 1887, and it doesn't fit on the sides of your timeline, on the far ends, you get 1 kind of bonus row where you can fit it in between 2 cards, but only 1 card can be here. So this fits between these 2, but if they have one that also should go in between there, like the invention of the invention of the teddy bear, I happen to know from playing this game, is 1902. If they had that card and somebody wanted to play it, it wouldn't fit here. So what happens in that occasion is, here, we'll have this person go, they play The Invention of Champagne. That's able to fit between these two. But then if they want to play the first appearance of the encyclopedia, that is 1751. And that is also in between these two numbers. And that spot's already filled. So if you do that, you have to place the card sideways in your hand to signify, that makes it so you know, oh, that just doesn't play out there. And you leave it like that, and ideally, you'll be able to discard it at some point because then, because it doesn't do any good for your hand. It just takes up one of your spots. And they would refill their hand, and there's no penalty. They had already played a card, so this is the second card. It's not a big deal. So you keep on going, and you keep on trying to play out all your cards, and the game can end one of two ways. First of all, if the draw pile runs out, then you just keep on playing with the remaining cards in front of you until you've either placed all of the cards in the timeline or discarded them, or if there's a turn where a player is unable to play a card or discard. Sometimes you're stuck and you don't have an icon that matches the discard, so you'd have to play. But if none of your cards play, then the game is over. At the end of the game, it's time to score. You get 2 points for each card in your timeline, 1 point for each card in your secondary timeline, your gap row. You get 1 point, and then you get -1 point for each card in your hand or in the discard pile or in the draw pile. So that's how to play Timeline Twist. The target demographic for this game is Timeline pros. If you've played the original Timeline game, maybe it's not quite as fun as it used to be because a few people have too many of the dates memorized. That is actually an asset in this game and will make it a much more enjoyable playing experience for you. The rule complexity is low. There's just a little bit more than regular Timeline to know, but once you've played through once, you pretty much have it down. It's not too tricky. How competitive is this game? It is cooperative, but challenging. Even if you do have all of the dates memorized, there still is an art to being able to maximize how many are in the timeline just based on what cards are dealt to you. And if you get one wrong or aren't able to discard or use the discard pile well, that can really impact your game, which is nice. So there's a nice challenge level no matter how much you've played this game, and it is fantastic with kids for teaching them history in a fun way. I played this with both my older daughter and my older son last night, and it was amazing, the dates that they had picked up and the historical events we got to talk about while playing this game. The replay value is medium. It feels like the type of game that you're going to get out and you're just going to play a bunch for like a few weeks or a month, and it's going to be your go-to game. And then you're going to be ready to move on to something else, but then you'll come back to it maybe 6 months later and want to play it a bunch again. So it has the feel of that type of game. Similar games, if you like this one, Moving Pictures by Button Shy is a great 2-player game in which you're trying to place cards from a movie in the correct sequence, and there's certain actions that you take depending on which cards you've played out and what you have to do with them. So it's around the same level of challenge as this game, maybe a little bit easier. You don't have to know historical dates to do well in that, and it's a lot of fun. And also, I recommend The Crew Mission Deep Sea is a cooperative card game that just is fantastic. It's maybe a little bit more challenging than this one, but it has been really fun to get to play through. So we are really enjoying Timeline Twist, and you should check it out. Thanks, and see you next time from Game Like a Mother.